Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to Coffee with Captain Trek. My special guest today is Comic Fusion, and I'll be bringing him on in just a moment. This will be rebroadcast on Thursday for those looking for the replay, because this will normally be a Thursday show. So next Thursday, I'll be playing this again at 7 p.m. So that is Thursday the 20th at 7 p.m. And now, here we go. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I've certainly had worse days. I was sick for the last two or so and thought I was gonna die, but I woke up feeling fine. So, kudos to that.
Absolutely. I'm glad to hear that you're doing better.
Yeah,
So,
just last night I was so under the weather that I did a stream of my own. I don't think we even made it to the hour mark. We were like 40 something minutes in, and I was like, okay, we're calling it.
well, I had my premiere of this stream last night. Our first, excuse me, the first episode of this last night, and I thought, I was assuming it was going to be longer because Kai and I had first talked beforehand, and he was going to have at least an hour, and then things happened, and it ended up being cut short. So, it was about 45 minutes or so. Um, but we can go on as long as you'd like. It's just there's no. I've set it up for 2 hours, but I mean, if we go an hour, that's fine.
Well, we probably could have gone longer if Edgeverse had shown up as as he was supposed to, but unfortunately, he's having some issues with his internet in Cambodia, which unfortunately does happen often enough.
But let me ask you something. How did you first get started on YouTube?
Well, let's see. It's actually hard to tell that story because I got myself canceled, and this is a new brand for me that I've only been working on for a month or two. But the cliff notes are that roughly a year ago, a little less than that, in February of 2020, 2021. Um, yeah, 2021. I found myself with a lot of spare time on my hands. I was living in North Carolina at the time, working construction, and due to the nature of things that were happening in the world,
Yep.
construction was drying up. And I needed something to kind of fill that time. I was just living in the woods, and I tell you what, man, my first stream was rough. People go, "Oh, my first stream was bad." I'm like, "No, my first stream was 45 minutes of no video and me talking, but with like 10 to 20-minute dead spots where I would forget that I was even live and supposed to be
Oh,
saying anything." It was rough. And so I like to think that I have progressed quite far as a YouTuber since that time.
so you could use that as a transporter effect. At least that's better than what they do on Discovery. Um, oh Lord. But
Usually, if I lean back far enough, I'll disappear, but not today.
only your arms that time. But so, what is it you like about being on YouTube?
Sorry, coughing
No
quite a bit
problem.
today. Personally, I like this community that I wandered into. I had a passing knowledge of who like the top creators in this space were, nerdrotic geeks and gamers, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize that below that, that there were levels to it, and that you would find. I didn't realize that there were smaller channels doing this. I guess would be the easiest way to put it.
Yeah,
And so the more I just kind of dove into this space, and the more that I've met new people, and the more that I've got involved in various projects, I, I've met some people here that I consider easily just as good a friend as people I know in real life.
cool. I mean, there are people I know, like let's say Berto Prey 5. He's one of them that most people know. I would consider him right under, you know, Neurotic and Doomcock as far as he also joins the gap because there are people that watch one and don't watch the other, blah 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 blah. He watches both. And then there are people that watch him who watch me.
Right. And it's
But
a degrees of separation.
yeah, and the funny thing is, I talk to Doomcock, so it's like, but I still don't consider myself up the level as Bird. Um, I'm at least a step down. Of
I'd
course,
like
he's
to
been
have a Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go on.
I was just gonna say I'd like to have a conversation with Doomcock one day, like legitimately, not in a I'd like to attack him type of way, but I'm not gonna sit here and disparage the guy. He makes content that I do enjoy on occasion, and I do watch his channel from time to time. I really I want an answer to like why he hammers on some things the way he does, but I guess at the end of the day, I get it. It's We all have our avenues that we kind of approach from.
Well, I would have to say his is a more entertainment based um, uh, direction where
Right.
you know when he comes on live streams, you just get him. You don't get necessarily the entertainment that you do out of the videos because the
Right.
videos he's I am Doomcock, blah 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 blah. You know that's that's the persona.
Right.
Doomcock is
And
the
we all have a
persona,
character.
and I wish I did. Uh, that one would be absolutely more self confident and yeah, not me. But I may have to develop that one. Um, but yeah, I just like the fact that we can get on here and talk about whatever. Um, so uh,
Well, to a degree, especially panel streams, it's like a modern representation of when people used to hang out in like comic shops and just kind of discuss and debate things without the influence of a culture war. People would sit around for hours and argue over who the best X-Men was. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. Well, and I think that's the fun part because people would actually they'd argue over it, but it wouldn't necessarily be like what we're calling arguing now. It was
No,
more of
no, it
a
wasn't
friendly
malicious.
debate. Yeah,
Right.
you know.
Not to say
Anymore,
they
it's
wouldn't get heated.
oh they would get heated. Don't get me wrong. It get heated, but you wouldn't usually go away at the end of the day and go, "Oh, I hate that person. That person's an asshole." Blah 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 blah. I mean, you'd say they're an asshole, but you'd still talk to them the next day when you saw them.
Right.
I'm sorry. There's a distinct difference, and unfortunately, in this day and age, things it seems like if you hurt somebody's feels, you know, ooh, we got to be careful because don't want to do that. Yeah, forget that. You can tell how not politically correct I am, and I'm not
Well, yeah,
ashamed of it.
no, I'm super politically incorrect to the point that I got myself prior canceled.
Oh, good lord. Okay, I'm gonna ask,
Happens.
what happened exactly?
Uh, Without actually going into
Right,
specifics, I was
generally.
aggravated. Yeah, I was aggravated with the way that YouTube chose to enforce certain policies with certain groups and not with others. And so I started making a series of very salacious content. And I got up to about the 5th video in that series. and they uh and they killed the channel. So that happened. And but luckily I am friends with Edgeverse, and he had a secondary channel that he wasn't using, and so I've just kind of taken over the management of it, and I'm currently using it as my channel. But at the end of the day, it's Edgeverse's channel.
So how did you and him meet?
Odd,
Obviously, when it
oddly
first was.
enough, yeah, I have no idea how he found me, because he had initially messaged me on Twitter a couple of months after I started my channel, and I was doing various reviews, and I had the channel listed as, amongst other things, doing literature reviews.
Mhm.
And so he messaged me on Twitter as an author and said, "Hey, would you be willing to read and review one of our books? Will you tell us which one it is, and we'll send you a free copy?" I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever. That sounds great." And so he sent it to me, and I read like the first 3 chapters, and then my life fell apart, and I ended up moving across the country, changing brands, all kinds of stuff happened. That was like a year ago. I'm still on chapter 3 of that book.
Wow. Yeah, that's things like that happen. I've been the same, not not identical, obviously, but same type of situation myself, where I was going through a book and things happened, and I still haven't finished because yeah.
But yeah, I mean, since then we've held a fairly regular weekly show across both of the channels. Uh, we collaborate on a lot of different things. So yeah, he's a really good guy. I think he's probably the most underrated YouTuber I've ever met. Uh, since February of last year, or whenever it was that I first met him, he's gained like 5 subs. He's sitting at like 30 something subs,
Yeah,
which is
when we
inconceivable to me.
yeah, well, when we talked, and I because I asked you for the link, I went ahead and I subscribed. I didn't even have to look at the content. It's like, okay, yeah. I mean,
I appreciate
I'm
that.
sure, I'm sure you can tell with you look at some content creators and you see their YouTube thing, and it's like, okay, I gotta watch this before I subscribe or not.
Right.
This one I went on and it's like, wait a minute, uh, why does this guy only have this many subscribers and this actually looks like a good YouTube page? Okay, subscribe.
Yeah, I have no idea how that works. But that's YouTube for you. You know what I mean? They'll every time I go to YouTube, and I've never watched one of her videos. They have no reason to recommend it to me. But before I log in, every time I click on YouTube, it offers me an SS Sniper Wolf video. That's YouTube. Th They'll offer you an ethot all day, but somebody with a genuine opinion and something interesting to say, 30 subs.
I'm amazed at that. Well, the thing is, I I haven't even checked today. I've been so busy with doing other stuff. Um, let's see here. Today I'm sitting at 586 subscribers. Now, when was it? The day before yesterday, I was at 602, and then I was knocked down to 570 something, and it's like, okay, it's all YouTube.
Yeah, and they'll come back after a couple of days usually. It's weird. Whenever you get a good group of subs like that, YouTube almost immediately takes them. And as near as I can tell, the explanation is it's bot traffic until we can verify it's not bot traffic.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the problem. I was actually watching a thing about this the other day. Bots are a huge issue. Like there's a thing that if you look it up that even YouTube is worried about called the inversion, or that's what they're calling it. And it's the idea that and it's possible this has already happened, that eventually bots will outnumber humans on the platform, and at that
Mm-hmm.
point the algorithm will start to label bot traffic as human traffic and human traffic as bot traffic, basically.
Right. Well, because yeah, I honestly wonder because I get bot traffic in my chat every day. It's like, oh, it gets frustrating. But I did go, I make a game of it. It's like, okay, time to whack a bot, and you know, you got to deal with it the way you can. I choose to make it fun.
Right. And it helps to have a couple of good moderators around that are paying attention.
Oh yeah, there are several moderators in here. Um, it's funny because uh, there was a YouTuber who is now uh, deceased who had helped me pick out several moderators um, to keep. There were several of them really needed to because I had a few extra that really shouldn't have been, but I was trying to be nice and that kind of thing.
Yo, if you look at one of my chats, like everybody's a mod. There's no point in having mods on my channel because everybody they can't do anything to each other.
Exactly. Um, but one of the mods that I've kept that, or actually two, I should say, has been Chronos and um, what is it? Something slug ouchies. But it's Chronos. Uh, and because he was getting his chat was being hidden for some reason. He was being marked as a bot, and
Right.
so
Which happens. I think that happened to Eric K because he was in so many people's chats that for a while there he was getting labeled as a bot and his chats weren't showing up. You'd have like if he wasn't a moderator on people's channels, he couldn't be seen.
yeah. So it's like, okay, I have to add him as a mod so he can actually appear in my chats. It's like this is stupid.
And here's another pro tip for anybody watching who might not realize this, but anytime you're in a YouTube chat, if you look at the top of the chat window there, you'll see a little drop down arrow next to the words top chat. If you click that and choose live chat, you'll see all of the chat comments. The top chat feature, quote unquote feature, is used to silence certain voices and certain comments.
Which I've never understood. I mean, nobody wants top chat unless you're just super busy, you know, and just watching. in the background. You want everything up there. I'm sorry, the top chat should be the option, not the default.
Right, especially for moderators, because if you're
Hmm.
not paying attention and you're just sitting there moderating somebody's chat, you will miss stuff through that function.
And since they have things set up specifically for moderators, like you know, only mods now can click the three dots and see somebody's channel, which I was glad to see return.
Oddly enough, though, mods can't block bots. They can put them in timeout, they can hide them on the channel, they can do all kinds of weird stuff to them. They can't actually block them. Only the
Right.
channel owner can.
At least they can hide them, which is absolutely helpful. Because then I can go back later and block them. It shows me who's been hidden, and if I there've been a couple that were accidentally hidden, and it's like, okay, I gotta unhide them now. The rest of them is just like, okay, I'll get to it later and block them.
Yeah, I have on occasion accidentally like timed somebody out or something. Sometimes the chat just moves fast. You go to click something and the thing jumps and you click the wrong button. It happens.
Well, it's funny because even on a small channel like mine, sometimes the chat will just be jumping, and I do want to apologize for not reading the chat like I normally do. It's just kind of I'm looking at it, but not really reading it. I usually read it.
Well, I mean, if I'm stepping on your toes or anything, feel free to tell me to shut up and let you read some chat comments.
Oh no, no, no. Because I mean, this is about you, and I invited you on here for a specific reason. Um, so
Yeah, I mean, if you're curious about me, I would say that YouTube creation, streams, and stuff like that is actually my secondary function here. Uh, Within this community, what I actually do the most of is video editing. Um, I edit people's live streams. I make intros. I make various assets for StreamYards and OBS and stuff like that.
see, my problem with making videos is not editing them so much as coming up with what to do in them. I mean, I can go, okay, here's the topic. Um, okay, what now? And I've always wanted a formula or a outline to follow. What do you suggest?
For what? For coming up with ideas, or just for how to kind of keep things interesting along the way? Because honestly, I don't use a format when I edit things. Like I have a fairly, how to put it, I'd imagine that I have a fairly unique process. I don't do what you see a lot of people do when they talk about how to edit things. Oh, create timelines, have an idea, do this, do that. Like if I'm gonna say, let's use an example. Let's say Brightest Day hired me to edit one of his live streams up into a 15-minute short. I would just upload that entire thing into my editor. I would watch the entire thing, and as I watched it, I would just cut out bits that were either entertaining and or interesting towards the point. And then, if necessary, once I was done, I would take those clips, maybe rearrange them so that they either make a stronger point or a funnier point. And then the last step would be add in things that emphasize those things, sound bites, visual assets, video clips, things like that. that kind of push the message home. Uh, and then past that, it's all visual stuff. But just in terms of how I would go about editing the video, that's typically what I do.
Speaking of brightest day, Neurotic admitted that most of his video editing is clipped from hours of him sitting there figuring out what to say. Nobody's perfect. See, my thing is, okay, let's say I'm going to do an episode of uh, Voyager. I'm naming something off the top of my head. Um, I've always, it's always been like, okay, I'm not going to go through and watch the episode and talk about the episode while I'm watching it, but not sharing the audio or video because it's just I don't know.
Well, what I would do, because I did a lot of that kind of stuff on my old channel, um, more than memes, more than stuff about other creators, more than reviews, more than videos about Kathleen Kennedy. The two most viewed videos on my old channel were reminiscent of Mystery Science Theater, where we watched two old episodes of MacGyver from 1985 and just talked shit over them the entire time. Uh, so, I mean, it is possible with the right overlays and whatnot to do something like that and not get ripped down from YouTube. But if you just wanted to discuss like an episode of Voyager, what I used to do was I made a frame overlay for YouTube so you couldn't see the edges of the player, and I would open up VLC and share the screen on my second monitor, and then I would just scroll through it without ever actually playing it so that it jumped forward 10 to 15 seconds at a time, and we would just kind of go scene to scene and discuss with that as a visual aid.
Hmm, that's actually something worth considering.
Yeah,
Although
personally, I think. Oh, sorry.
I don't currently have a second monitor, but I think that could be arranged because I have another TV I could use as a monitor.
Yeah, that's what I do actually. I've got my monitor right here, and then on a shelf, kind of right above it, and to the back, I've just got a big TV that I use for a secondary monitor. Worst case scenario, you could also just find somebody else who would be free for those streams and have them share their screen and scroll through it for you.
Yeah, that would definitely be the job of a. I hate when I haven't had enough coffee to think the words I'm actually trying to use.
Like a
Um,
producer.
Producer, thank you.
Well,
That would
yeah, they've
definitely
got
be.
some good ones out there in this community.
And I've got a couple that I'm talking to um, that, you know, one has said they are going to get back to me because I was just frustrated at the time and said, okay, here are my words of advice for right now. Keep doing what you're doing. I'll get back to you on what my suggestions are. But until then, just do what you do. Like, okay. Because I was getting frustrated at the time. So it's just like, don't get frustrated, just keep doing what you do and keep going. Um so what do you like most about doing the editing and producing that you do?
I mean, this is gonna sound cheesy, and I don't really have an explanation for it. It's not like I'm just some bleeding heart. But I actually really enjoy just helping other channels. Uh, Half the work I do is free, and the other half I undercharge for. Because I enjoy making things funny. I enjoy cutting something up and just making something funny out of it. Ultimately, that is, if you were going to hire me for something, that would be the best thing to hire me for. I need you to take this thing that's not funny and make it funny. That's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
I like that. And I mean, how would somebody how would somebody contact you about that? Obviously, uh, and how do you set your price for them?
Twitter is usually the best place to contact me, just because I use it to talk to a lot of people. And every once in a while, I'll post stupid memes, but I'm not really a Twitter guy. I use it more for the communication.
Yeah, yeah,
But
same
yeah,
here.
that's the easiest way to get a hold of me, and I like to think I'm really easy to work with. Like, if you tell me what you want and what range you have to work with, um, in terms of, hey, I can give you $50 to do X. I'll probably accept. I mean, I'm yeah, very easy to work with. And I don't mind negotiating if it's something complex, and we can talk about it. We can definitely talk about it.
I'm just glad to know that there are people out there that are willing to help. And I'm sure that there are going to be people watching that are going, uh, yeah, what do I do now? So yeah, I because there are a lot of people I know that will get on a platform, like YouTube, and they want to make videos, but they're not sure where to start.
I wasn't either. I just kind of picked a place, and for me, it was something I was kind of familiar with and thought that I had a good handle on how to do, and that was movie reviews. And so I started with movie reviews, and then as time went on and I kind of had a better idea of A, how I wanted to make content, B, how to go about making that content, and C, what kind of content I wanted to make. The more I branched out into the space, the more I saw what other people were talking about. It kind of fills in as you go, and there will always be times when we can't decide which direction to go. And in those cases, the best thing to do is to just pick one. It doesn't necessarily matter at the end of the day, as long as you enjoy what you're doing. I tell everybody that this is a hobby, until it's not. I have over 1,000 subs. I'll probably never be monetized, and that's all right.
Oh, well, that's the thing. I've had conversation with several people. They're like, yeah, the thing you want to do most is have fun, and that's kind of why, I wasn't going to go into this, but that's kind of why I'm going to be altering the morning brew, because I can't do it anymore. Not like
Change is good.
not like every day. And and I've said, because I have computer issues, um, and I literally need somebody else on the panel in order to, you know, if I drop off, somebody, it's going to be dead for at least 5 minutes usually. And so it's like I need somebody there physically, and it's also easier to have somebody to talk to. So you know, that's just me. I mean, maybe I'm just weird. I know that, but
No, you're not wrong. It's always easier to have somebody to talk to and fill in dead air than to just have yourself to rely on, and to because I mean it takes a lot to talk off the cuff for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and keep it interesting and keep it relevant without just straying off into Neverland.
Exactly. Well, here's the funny thing: if I have any videos, I haven't looked at what happened to yesterday's because it was not morning brew, obviously. Um, but if I have a morning brew that's less than 2 hours, nobody, nobody watches it on the replay. If it's at least 2 hours, I got 10 to 20 people who definitely watch it, and it's like, you know, it's not so much about the views, but it's like it, it feels like okay, maybe I'm not enough if they're not watching it. I don't know because those are the ones that are just me. So it's like, okay, you're not watching it because it's only me, or what's going on? I don't know. I got to get out of my head. That's why I need a character I can play. That isn't me.
My that would be my my number one piece of advice actually for doing this is even when it's personal, even when somebody directly says that you're the problem, don't take it personally. Um, you got to separate yourself from what you're doing in the sense of like you're trying to be an entertainer, but this isn't you. And so people can attack the channel, but they're not attacking you. You know what I mean? Like don't let that demotivate you to the point that it makes you want to stop because then you'll never improve.
And that's the because I had people that were going, no, don't quit doing this, don't do that. It's like, look, I got to do what's best for me. I really have to do what's best for me. That's why I would like to concentrate on the Coffee with Captain Trek, even if it's just a weekly program that I have. Um, and just talking to either an individual or a few people rather than dealing with the chat and trying to deal with and trying to come up with something to talk about on my own and you know fill in the entire time versus uh, dead air, because that's what happens a lot. I'll be talking, I'll run out of things to say, and the chat's just dead.
Well, and
I
it
go,
can be
what am I
that's
going to do now?
well, there is all right, maybe a problem is the wrong way to put it, but there's a thing that creators in this space tend to do on the smaller end that is kind of death for a channel. Um, and that is the going comment to comment and either reading or responding to each one. Like if you're doing that, you're only going to collect an audience up to a certain size. Uh, because the people that are there for that interaction. And when that interaction goes away, a good chunk of those people typically go away too as you grow. Um, it's better to I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt, audience interaction is never a bad thing, but it's better to focus on just producing content and then kind of keep an eye on the chat and respond to, the relevant comments and the people that have supported you, but ultimately going comment to comment to comment can kind of dead a stream.
I hadn't realized that because I was just, there've been times it's just been like I said, nothing's been said. 5 minutes, I'm keep going on, and I'm waiting for somebody to comment something about what I'm saying or something against what I'm saying, something to go off of, something way off the wall. Sometimes anything it would be helpful, and that's why I've gone comment to comment because it's like, okay, I have run out of everything to talk to about. Excuse me. Okay, let me go with the chat and go. Okay,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, and I can't, it's up to you how you want to how you would want to handle that.
right.
But my advice would be, at that point, you're an hour or two in, you've covered all the topics you had lined up, you've said everything that you had on your mind, you went through the chat and kind of caught up with that. Keep it tight. Throw up, tell everybody that you love them and to have a great day, and throw up an outro and call it a stream.
And that's what I do for the e-news segment. I'll go through the news I have set up. I don't even look at the chat during that stream. Don't look at it at all because I'm looking at articles. I'm looking at other stuff that I'm doing. When I have read the final article, then I look at the chat. Then I go through the chat and I say hi to everybody and thank you for coming and blah 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 and end the stream. But when it's the morning brew, which initially it was more here, let me put the link in the chat. And then I got some unwanted people joining all the time. Um, and I don't want to say they weren't wanted. It's just they would come on number one and try to take over the stream and want to come on every day. And it's like for me, the morning brew was always supposed to be different, not not the same show Thursday as Friday, if that
Well,
makes sense.
that's actually what happened to me with my Saturday show. And a couple of weeks ago, I told everybody, I was like, "All right, well, this has been fun, but I'll be shifting you around to other shows. None of you need to be on the Saturday show anymore." Um, because I don't want it to get stale. I do try to keep things fresh. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. But my advice would be, if you're gonna do like a dropped link like that, be very specific as to who you put in the chat where you drop said link. I know some creators that have, closed discords with only a few people on them, very specific people, and they'll just drop their link in there, and anybody
Right.
that wants to can click it. Uh, that can be dangerous because you don't know who's going to click it. Um, the best thing to do is to have, 3 to 4 people in mind, talk to them a day or two ahead of time, and send them the links directly.
I have a group on Twitter that is always welcome. That's why I have it. Um, and so whenever I'm on Morning Brew, that link goes out because those are the people that I want on. Now I understand that most of them can't be on every day, which is a good thing because I don't want the only person I want on that stream every day is Bird.
Right.
And I'm not saying I want him to be on every day, but he is the one person that when he's able to be on every day, I want him there. Everybody else is like, okay, 1 to 2 times a week is great. Any more than that, it's too much. It becomes the same conversation again and again.
Yeah, and sometimes you just have to have that conversation with people on the back end and say, "Hey, look, it's not personal. This is just the direction I want to take the channel, and what we're doing here isn't quite fitting with that. So we're going to shake things up a bit."
And I never did ask, do you like coffee?
These days, I drink a lot of Mountain Dew, as I'm drinking right now at 5:47 in the morning. Um, but when I worked construction uh, years ago, I drank a lot of coffee. Drank a good bit of coffee in the army too, so I've had my share.
Ah, let's see here now. Go back to this. ASAP runs a very well structured show. He'd be good to ask for advice on that aspect. Yeah, except I don't talk to them, and I don't think they know who I am or care.
You never know. Uh, don't sell yourself short. A lot of times, people get recommended to my channel from other bigger channels that I had no idea knew I existed. They had a guy the other day showed up. He's like, Orville Nation sent me here. I was like, how the fuck does Orville Nation know who I am? But it's the way of the beast, man. Like especially in this community, there's a lot of crossover. You'd be surprised who knows you out there.
well, actually, there are a few people I know who know me, and it's kind of a surprise. Um, they're like, what? But okay, brightest day. Since you mentioned them, oh dear Lord. Since you mentioned them, why don't you ask? Because I don't know. I'll even throw my name out there. Just say, hey, contact this person. They need to talk to somebody. At least that way, I have some kind of intervention and not just a blind uh, tweet or DM or whatever.
Yeah, the Rogue Entertainment guys, they're a good group. Technically under my old brand, I was a part of it for a minute before I got myself canceled.
Uh, it was funny because I was talking to Culture Casino, who said he could talk to some of the Rogue Entertainment guys. I'm going to have to contact him again because I told him no because I didn't want to, and maybe I think I should just to take some advice.
Yeah, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Um, I can give you my advice as to what's worked for me and what I've learned in my short time on YouTube. But at the end of the day, I'm just some guy, man. I don't fucking know. I'm not monetized, so definitely feel free to get another angle on this thing that isn't mine.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I like to get a different perspective. I see my perspective, and I know mine is skewed. So if I can see two other people's perspective, which may be on either end, um, and then if I can put them together and go, okay, this is more of the full picture, even though I'm only seeing from 3 points of view, this is more accurate than the one perspective. And so then I can take it from there. It's just sometimes, like I said, getting out of my own head is the difficult time. But this is not about me. This is we're talking. I'm talking to you today. Um, so you're drinking Mountain Dew. That happens to be one of my favorite drinks, which I can't have now.
I'm sorry. I drink too much of it. It'll probably be the thing that kills me, and I'm okay with that.
Well, let's put it this way. Uh, my I'm going to be having surgery coming up, and so I have to lose weight. Um, and the doctor said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do," and I'm totally not following his advice. But I'm modifying what I did do before. One thing I am doing is cutting out the sugars. Because his idea was to go, okay, I want you to have 4 protein shakes a day. Wait a minute, that's 480 calories
If you're
and,
not working
and
out,
not enough nutrition. Yeah, it's not going to help.
yeah, if you're not working out, um, protein shakes are terrible for you. Like that's only good for you if you're constantly breaking down muscle for that protein to rebuild. Otherwise, it'll just make you larger. I'm
I did
sorry to
this
hear
right
that you
because there was not much in there.
sorry to hear that you've got surgery coming up though. That's terrible. Hope that goes all right.
It's going to be, let's put it this way, it's going to be at least a week that I'm off YouTube. at least on my channel, because I mean, I'll be on other people's. Somebody has a panel discussion, I can join for a little bit, but you know, uh, doing a stream is, and this is one thing that I don't think people understand, even emotionally draining. Just sitting here talking and coming up with stuff to talk about. Um, it's not it's not as easy as it necessarily looks.
No, no, not for extended periods of time, unless you just are one of those people that is a constant stream of consciousness coming out of your mouth, and I'm sure folks like that probably have a slightly easier time on YouTube. I don't know that I find it emotionally draining, but I'm also kind of dead inside, so there's that. Uh, yeah.
I think we've got a few things we're going to be talking about off the air. Uh, oh, but no, I in fact, uh, what uh, what are you wanting to do on your channel that you haven't so far?
If I had the time that I wish I had, I would actually be making animated shorts. Because I've recently upgraded my rig and I've been teaching myself, like Adobe After Effects and stuff like that. I would love to teach myself the Adobe Animator Studio and get somebody like Edgeverse, who's a competent writer I respect, to do, like 15-minute screenplays and produce an actual series of shorts, some sort a short season of entertainment that would be 100% free. I wouldn't charge anybody for it. I think we need a little bit more of that in this space. I don't mean to disparage anybody out there trying to make a dollar. I certainly try to make a dollar doing what I do, but I think we also need more people willing to create free content
Oh,
that's not
absolutely.
just a panel stream.
Right. I mean, in a way, panel streams are easier because you've got more people uh, involved, giving input. That way, you've got to be fair to give each person about equal time, or try to. Because inevitably, in a panel, you're going to have at least one panelist who talks over everybody else. Even though I've tried to eliminate that. Um, and it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes somebody knows more about a topic than somebody else. And
Right.
but as far as doing this, like the one-on-one, like I said, this is far easier. I could get on every day on Morning Brew, if and Bird is not available every morning, by the way, letting you know, because he's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got dealing with you know his medical stuff. His uh, mom's doing stuff. Always talking to his sister and nephew. Um, blah blah blah. You know, so I can't rely on any one person every day, but I wouldn't mind having somebody, you know, a daily co-host, let's say. Um, Meaning like, here's the Monday co-host, here's the Tuesday co-host, that kind of thing. If somebody's able to even give 30 minutes once a week would be helpful for me.
And I'm not gonna tell you not to do like a daily formula, but it does tend to burn you out a lot faster. I find that maybe like 3 days to 4 days out of the week is best. You can give yourself a day or two spaced throughout to kind of collect yourself, talk to other people in the space when you need to, make clips or videos or whatever. It gives you kind of a padding And you're not sitting there racking your brain literally every day trying to come up with topics when some days there's just not going to be a lot to talk about.
I am sorry to hear that, brightest day. Damn.
Yeah, definitely sorry to hear that, man. It's always rough.
I mean, I remember when I when I had to put my baby to sleep, and uh, she had cancer, or he had cancer. Excuse me, he had cancer, and I remember because it gotten to the point where he couldn't because he liked to get on my bed. I even moved my bed onto the floor so he'd get on last day, and I just pampered him. He got whatever he wanted. It's like, oh, you're not supposed to give dogs people food. He's gonna die tomorrow. Who gives a fuck?
Right? Who fucking cares? Give him a steak. Give him some lobster.
It's like, okay, I'm giving him whatever he wants. This is fine. I know what's gonna happen tomorrow. I don't care. So,
Yeah, no,
that was,
that's rough.
and God, that's been 20 years ago, and it still causes me to tear up. Um, I would love to. In fact, at some point, I'm going to be getting another dog because I need it emotionally. I'll just put it that way.
If I wasn't living in such a tiny apartment, I would probably get a dog. But as it stands, I don't think that I would be doing a dog any favors. He'd have to live in a closet. Though the lady next to me has dogs, and they never shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's because people are not training their dogs appropriately.
Oh, to be fair, in her case, it's an old disabled lady, so I can't fault her too much.
Well, let's put it this way. I know a gentleman who has several dogs. Um, and the funny thing was he had adopted one that was a baby. Um, because it needed a home. It literally walked onto the property, and there was nobody. Tried to find the owner, nothing, and even went to the vet to scan for chip, nothing.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was muted. Hopefully that wasn't loud.
Nope, not too loud. At least it was only once. It wasn't like, oh, yeah. That's another thing. You've got people who don't have the experience on here, and without going into any details, they're not aware that the noises that they make come through. So you mute too much, or you are eating, or whatever, it comes through.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people ask me why I do that, and that's exactly why. Is it just took me a long time to realize, like, ambient sound, things I'm doing, even breathing if I have my mic placed in the wrong spot,
Yeah,
all can really fuck up the quality of a stream. And so I just, whenever I'm not talking.
yeah. Well, the thing is, when you've got somebody who's got it's because like Bird has several mute buttons. You got the mute button that's in the StreamYard that you can still hear the click, but you're not hearing this loud click 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 click.
Like
Which
that.
no, I mean I'm talking like way louder. I've heard that was ultra soft compared to some. Um, Bird will do it where his is just silent. You don't even know he's muted because it doesn't show. And so those are the ones I like personally. I'll have to get uh what he's using, figure out what it is. But and brightest dad, you want to talk to you later. But um it's
Well,
funny
just
because
like,
we started out. I was going to be talking about something totally different, so this is kind of more into something else.
hey, if you have another topic in mind, I'm down.
Oh no, I just keep going. But well, I guess obviously you didn't have a problem coming on the channel. So what do you like about guesting on other people's streams?
Uh, just talking to people, getting to know people, um, hanging out with the chat. A lot of times, you know, especially in this space, I know half the people in the chat and interact with them on a regular basis. Like, you get Brightest Day there. Um, Man, I'd take a bullet for Brightest Day, but like not lethal, in the shoulder or something. But still, um, so yeah, man, I like this space. I like the whatever you want to call it, the fandom, the collective, the alliance, whatever the fuck people want to call it. This community,
Yeah.
I like this community, and I just enjoy interacting with it. I come from a history of all sorts. I did the military, I've owned my own business, I've worked retail and construction, and I've spent years doing online stuff and managing guilds and MMOs. And I don't know, man, I just like people. I like learning new things. I like talking to folks.
Oh, that is fun. You know, I uh I actually like doing that as well. It's just like I said, I'm actually more introverted than people may know because I'm on here. Um, there's a certain security, even when I'm on camera. It's not me. I mean, it's me, but it's not. There's not the same risk. You know,
Well, it's a character. We're all, to a degree, everybody's playing a character on here. Some more than others, but I don't think anybody is like 100% themselves on YouTube. At least not if they're smart.
I guess that's my problem. I need to stop being myself. Um,
No, I mean, like I said, don't. That's my opinion, man. Like, if it works for you, it works for you. Um, I don't know. I think that to a degree, like it helps to have you know, certain parts of your personality that you're going to tone up and certain parts of your personality that you're going to tone down.
right.
Would
Oh,
be
I'll
the
get it.
best way to put it.
I may take a few days off and try to figure out how to do that. There are a couple people I can talk to. I think that'll help. But uh, so, oh my God, my
Hey,
brain.
Snortopookus.
Oh, the only thing I don't like about that is the name. It's so hard to say sometimes when I haven't had enough coffee. And yeah, like now. Um, so I just say snort. Uh,
Yes.
it's much easier. Uh,
But
I'm
yeah,
I'm
man.
kind of jealous of you. Here you are. You're talking in the chat. Of course, you're the one. You're the guest. I'm hoping I'm not being too whatever, but because I like having you on. Thank you. I do appreciate. wanted to come on
Hey,
today.
I appreciate you having me on. Um, I've always just been kind of a multitasker. I can't help it. I'm sitting here as we're talking. I'm just reading it on a different monitor.
Well, when I'm in the chat, when I'm not on, I can be on a you know I can be in two chats, and like I'll mod for one, I'll be watching the other, just kind of participating where I can. But when it comes to actually being on, I kind of I try to be more focused, so it's a little more difficult. Now, when I'm on at somebody else's panel, I can go ahead and participate in the chat some. It I almost feel like I have to separate it. I don't know how else to say it.
No, I get it. You know, um, and it kind of almost ties back to what I was saying. Was that's what I mean when I say a character is like in certain situations you're going to have a particular mode in which you want to act, and in other types of situations you're going to have another mode in which you want to act. But it should all be geared towards what makes the experience the most interesting or the most entertaining for the viewer.
Snort, yeah, yeah, that's really, really, really gracious of you, because I'm sure you love lemon meringue pies.
What polar bear doesn't?
Oh, you know, even though I have it scheduled for later, I'm gonna go ahead and start morning brew early, if you don't mind. Um, Cosmic
Yeah,
Fusion.
no, I don't mind. Go for it.
Let me pull up the.
Does that mean we need to change StreamYards?
Oh yes, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Shoot me the link. I'm sure I can kick it for a little while longer.
And let's see here. Let's go into the studio.
This has been fun. I appreciate you having me on.
Let me go ahead. I'll give you the link backstage, and there it is. And if anybody could have the link in chat for um, morning brew this morning, it's supposed to be starting in about 50 minutes, but I'm going to start it early. Um, if you could go ahead and put it in the chat, I'd appreciate it. Usually, brightest day would be one who could, or Keely Chow, or any of the others. There's
Yeah,
several
I'm
others.
sure somebody can drop it in there.
Let me see. Of course, I'm. This is again one of my other failings. It's like, oh well, maybe I need to do it myself. And oh, oh, wait a minute. What am I doing? I know what to do. I'm in that other StreamYard, enter studio, and you on YouTube. And I can go ahead and drop that link. Ah, of course, Cosmic usually puts it backstage. Okay.
Yeah, because I'm not a mod. I can't drop links in the chat.
Okay. Well, let's take care of that. Say something in the chat. There it is. I
Let
found
me-
something right there. There it is. Never mind. Okay. Yeah. Really? There we go. Add moderator. And well, I do want to thank everybody for joining me for Coffee with Captain Trek. This will be available today to watch, and it will be rebroadcast next Thursday at 7 p.m. So thank you again for joining, and thank you, Cosmic Fusion. It's been a pleasure having you on.
This has been great, man. I appreciate it. Sorry we couldn't get Edgeverse on, but we'll try and do that in the future.
Absolutely, that's going to be fun. But thank you again, everybody, for joining. Go ahead and join over to the Morning Brew. Uh, Thank you again, and have a great day.